Thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill, even though the Minister thunders from the chair that it's going to be the solution to housing affordability, is not that at all. It's all about the government being seen to be doing something about our housing affordability crisis. It's a bill to get media headlines, but it's not about tackling the substantive issue in a comprehensive policy way that's based on good evidence. And that's been obvious in the fact the very short time that was allowed for submissions, and because it is a very short-term measure. Clause 19, I think it is, which provides that the Order in Council, which establishes special housing areas, will be revoked 3 years after the bill becomes an act and receives royal assent. So that shows that the government's not interested in working with local authorities to develop a solution that endures. It's more interested in just the short-term hit that this bill will provide by freeing up, making it easier for urban sprawl and allowing property developers to get consent for applications that are outside urban limits. And that's because the government sees the problem of housing affordability as largely one of land supply, and that is the major influence on house prices. And so the government is all about providing a charter for property developers through this bill, and also through the changes it's making or proposes to make to the Resource Management Act, where it will reverse the presumption on subdivision by permitting it unless a plan specifically provides otherwise. And, Mr. Chair, it's a complex set of factors which influence housing affordability. It's not just land supply. It's about building materials. It's about the cost of finance, which the Minister did refer to. It's about the cost of insurance. And if we were really looking at a comprehensive package, we would have measures that address that. Things like a capital gains tax on homes other than the family home, to make it much less attractive to have homes as residential homes as an investment. We'd have things like shared equity schemes. We'd have government working with councils, working on a genuine accord rather than what this bill provides. Because, Mr. Chair, the Wellington City Council, for example, had a very detailed submission, and it set out just the other factors which apply to housing affordability. It's things like geography and employment patterns and how they influence the price of houses. That's why, because you've got a lot more high-paying jobs in the centre of Wellington, you get house prices in central Wellington that are over $500,000, whereas ones in Porirua are around $370,000. So it's issues like that and the cost of building materials that influence affordability, not just land supply. This bill also won't work because of the standover tactics that the Minister proposes to employ through the special housing areas and his override powers. Local Government New Zealand said on behalf of all of the councils in New Zealand that it wanted to work with central government to address the issue of housing affordability. But the override provisions cut across that whole spirit of partnership. They cut across any genuine accord, because they take the power away from councils to make decisions about new development and to control the pace and the location of residential development and give it to the Minister. So the override provisions means that there's not a good faith basis for working on housing affordability. Because the Minister, if he can't negotiate an agreement with the relevant district or regional council, can then designate a special housing area. And then we have the Chief Executive of the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment making decisions about where development will occur. What capacity, what authority, what experience does a central government agency, MOBI, have rather than councils? So if the Minister was genuinely interested in partnership, then these override provisions would have been removed from the bill. And again, the Wellington City Council said it wouldn't enter into any negotiations on a Wellington Housing Accord unless those powers of ministerial intervention were removed. And it's those powers which cut right across the Resource Management Act and the Local Government Act, where decisions on how and where residential development should occur should be made by territorial local authorities. And my colleague Dennis O'Rourke called the bill a panic measure, and we certainly agree. And if you look at what is happening where councils are doing good planning, and again Wellington, where they changed the Wellington City Plan in 2009. Mr Chair, Mr Chair, Mr Chair, Mr Chair.
Mike Sabin.
I move that the question be now put.
I'll take Dr. Rajan Prasad.
Thank you, Mr.